All right, so our first review of the day is going to be for the film Fight or Flight. Fight or Flight is a movie there starring Josh Hartnett. We're in the Hartissance, as I'm calling it there. We see a resurgence of Josh Hartnett. He took a break from acting for a bit, but he's popped up in movies there. His big comeback probably was Oppenheimer, I think, was a supporting role in
Mhm.
that. And then he was also in that film with M. Night Shyamalan, Trap as well. And then he's in this action style movie here called Fight or Flight. And what is this film about? So you got Josh Hartnett here, who is playing a mercenary there for the government, and he plays a guy named Lucas Reyes there, and he's has a mission right after being burnt by the government there after probably doing some bad things. Well,
Mhm.
maybe not so bad things, but he got punishment there from his big bosses there for kind of doing what's right. He gets a chance at redemption, gets a chance to kind of get back into things and get out of Thailand. And that is, he has one mission, and that is to get on a plane there and hunt down this target, a target name of Ghost.
Mhm.
They're this expert hacker there who they run down their whole resume, all the things they did. They've overtaken countries. They've freed people. They've fed the hungry there. They're basically what Anonymous was supposed to be. Like we thought
Mhm.
Anonymous was this cool thing. It's like, oh, bro, y'all ain't doing shit. Y'all doing is showing up in Guy Fox mask and that's it, and talking in deep voices. Y'all ain't doing shit. But yeah, that's kind of the what this person does. The hacker Ghost there,
Mhm.
and he's sent on a mission there to track them down. But once he gets on this plane, he discovers like, oh shit, there's other people on this plane who also wants to hunt down this ghost figure there.
Mhm.
And he's working with not a lot of information because he doesn't know what ghost looks like, doesn't know anything about the person at all. So he has to slowly kind of work his way of finding out who the person is, and also on this tight, cramped plane, fighting off all these other various different assassins, as you can see in this trailer there. So we've had Assassins on a Train. If you remember that movie there, that was from who did that movie?
That was David Leitch. That was Brad Pitt with Bullet Train.
Bullet Train. So we had Assassins on a Plane. We've had Assassins on a Train, and we've now had Assassins on a Plane.
Back
We
to
have
planes again.
Yeah, so we had that. So well, so Nick, what are your thoughts on Fight or Flight?
Yeah, so after, a couple of duds with the action genre, I wasn't really looking forward to this. I'm happy to see Josh Hartnett get more work. I felt like he was one of those like really underrated actors from the early 2000s who kind of got, a lot of middling to, very bad projects with stuff like Halloween H2O and Lucky Number 11. He was kind of typecast as that, but I really, even if I'm not a huge fan of the movie, I really dug his performance in Trapped, and I was really looking forward to see what he would do next. And we get to see him as this kind of down on his luck, burned former Secret Service agent, and who is just trying to get through this like last assignment. And we see more as the movie develops. On top of being fairly good at the action stuff, which I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that Josh Hartnett did most of his own stunts for this. But seeing the real core of that character, which always makes a movie like this more interesting,
Mm.
especially with his chemistry with this secondary lead, Isho, who's played by I'm probably gonna butcher this. It's Charithra Chandran. Yeah, Charith or Chandran, who their chemistry is fantastic, especially towards the second and third act of this movie.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. And I brought up Bullet Train, that movie,
Mhm.
just as a comparison because it's assassins on a tight, cramped environment, and they all have a target, and they almost fight each other to get to the target and everything like that.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a similar comparison there. Even though what I thought about that movie, I wasn't really that big
Mhm.
on the movie. I just thought the movie itself was kind of just okay. I thought it was all
Mhm.
right. And a lot of what Bullet Train is I think not really what Fight or Flight is, because Bullet Train is very over the top and very kind of. I mean, this movie
Mhm.
is. I mean, Fight or Flight is too, but
Mhm.
Bullet Train is way more. I think
Yeah.
focus more on the comedy thing aspect of it there with it as opposed to I think Fight or Flight is. And I think Josh Hartnett, as the lead in Fight or Flight, there as this guy who is looking for another chance. He's been stuck in Thailand forever. He's been blacklisted. He can't even. He's been on the no-fly list, so he can't even get out of the country. And then he gets a call from Katie Sackhoff there, who's in this film, and then he's like, "Okay, I got the job for you. You do this. You're back in again," and it's his chance. And also the environment that they're in of being on a plane is a interesting fighting environment because you don't see that
Mhm,
all the time there. And
mhm,
it's way different than even being on a train because a train is way more bigger than what a plane
mhm,
is. So that's offers an interesting dynamic there. And the fight scenes do look convincing. I think they do look good. I think Josh Hartnett there. It's good to see that he did his own stunts with this. And there's some crazy kind of moments in here. You're gonna get some crazy violence in
mhm.
here. There's gonna be definitely some moments where you scream. The broken bones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
broken bones, like a lot of private parts getting grabbed and crushed, which made me wince in the theater.
yeah. So you're gonna get that, and it's gonna be some crazy moments there. Did you think the action lived up to the what you kind of saw in the trailer?
Oh, it lived up to it, and I'm glad that it didn't show all of the best action in the trailer, which a lot of these movies tend to do. They have to. This is a smaller budget movie. I think this was only this. I'd be surprised if this had a budget of anything more than like 2 million, but they use their money well, and I'd be uh shit. What was I saying?
Remiss.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
I know you said you would be. I don't know. I was trying to finish your sentence. I was trying to finish your sandwich there. You'd be
I'd,
remiss.
I'd be I'd be surprised if
Oh,
this if that because this is such a tight space that I'm really glad that they found creative ways to use the action in designing and choreographing it because cramped space there's only so much you can do, so they did a good job of finding ways to make it interesting.
yeah. All the stuff on the plane, I think, is good. That's where I was most engaged. When
Mhm,
they cut back to the CIA or the government office, that to me was the
mhm,
worst part of it and the least interesting element of the movie there. Especially with that one character that was the character that Katie Sackhoff's character hired there to run the little
mhm.
department there.
Yeah, and
Um,
he's Julian Kostov, who was just in the White Lotus.
oh, okay. The
Yeah,
latest season.
he is in the latest season, and he is like they aren't even trying to hide that he's really the bad guy in this.
Yeah, I mean, he's such a piece of shit, and it just opening scene, he's a piece of shit. Like, he's telling people to fuck off. He's just yelling at people. They're trying to give him information. He's like, man, just get to the fucking point, man. Like, he's trying to give you important information. You don't know what's going on, and then he's just straight yelling at people. And yeah, I mean, he's so over the top. It just doesn't feels like it really, even with this movie, as crazy as it gets, doesn't really work. That it just feels so
Mhm.
cartoonish, and
Yeah,
just the way he plays it, I don't know. It didn't
yeah,
really work for me.
all the stuff in the plane is fantastic, and as over the top as it is, Hartnett manages to bring it back down to earth. And there is a point in the third act where he like kind of has like a drug induced hallucination that adds a little element of cartoonishness to it, but the movie does a good job of bringing you right back to reality, or this movie's heightened reality, I should say.
Yeah. And you also gotta, with these type of movies, in the trailer had from the producers of John Wick, and it,
Mhm.
like, we're dropped into these world of assassins. It's just like everybody's an assassin. It's like, you know what I mean? Like the homeless people are assassins, and all like on this plane, it feels like, well, damn, how many people on these are just actual regular customers? Because it seems like 60% of the plane is just assassins. It's like, what the
Hey,
fuck?
they did. Hey, this movie, unlike John Wick, at least showed that there were just civilians on this plane.
Yeah, so even though we didn't really get much of them at all, like there's some characters like, with a movie like this, we'll focus maybe on the oddball,
Mhm,
kind of civilian character or something like that. They didn't really do that in this movie. I don't know, maybe because they just were like, okay, we don't have that much time, or
mhm,
it'll cost too much money to give another kind of actor more lines,
mhm.
something like that. Did you think that was?
And that would throw off the pacing of this. Because the movie, this is like an hour, like 97 minutes. This is like very tight, very briskly paced, and focusing on that would have kind of taken away from the charm of it, I think.
You think so? So were you kind of disappointed that it really isn't much of an investigate? I mean, they kind of find out who the
Yeah,
ghost character.
I mean, you could probably guess who is the target just from looking at the trailer if you have a really keen eye. And I don't think the movie is really meant to be this kind of like grand mystery.
Mm, okay. It's not really interested in kinda doing
Mhm.
that. It's not like something like, what was that Liam Neeson movie, Commuter or something like he's trying
Yeah,
to
this isn't trying to be the commuter or nonstop, which
yeah.
I've seen a lot of people online compare this to.
Oh, not what the fake Liam Neeson.
Nonstop was the Liam Neeson on a plane.
Oh, that was him on the plane, nonstop,
Mhm.
okay. I haven't seen that one. That was the various Taken movies that weren't taken. It's like him on a train, him on a plane, yeah, him on it's gotta be him on a boat now, you know
And
what I
then
mean?
no, then there was a him on a snowmobile.
What were you talking about in the
That
Gray?
was a
Man?
no, that wasn't the Gray. That was a Cold Pursuit.
Oh, Cold Pursuit, okay, interesting. He going out through all the all the vehicles. Nice, okay. Has he ever done one on a submarine? Maybe you go on a submarine.
I think back in the 90s he was in a submarine movie. I might be wrong.
Okay. Hey, we'll look that up there. But yeah, I mean, hey, it's if you look at the trailer and go like, this seems like my type of movie. If you did like stuff like maybe Nonstop or as you mentioned before, Bullet Train, maybe you also
Or if you saw Love Hurts and want to wash the taste of that piece of shit out your mouth, this is for you.
yeah, you know, there weren't people leaving when at the end of the barely at the end of the movie get up like, "Oh, okay, we had enough." And that movie's only like an hour and 20 something minutes. If people getting up and going like, "Oh, we had enough." So at least it isn't something like that. But like I said, I think when they do the government stuff, that's the weakest element of this. Like when
Mhm,
they go to the government office, that's pretty. But when the action, it moves at a fast pace and it moves at a good pace. The action is good. Josh Hartnett is a good lead in this. It's not really so much focused on necessarily the mystery of who this ghost figure is. Like you said, I mean, it kind of happens fairly quickly, and
mhm.
you can maybe even guess it watching the trailer. Maybe if you do that. And yeah, so I did enjoy that. I did enjoy this movie. So I would give it I'd give it a high stream it low. Well,
Mhm.
I'll go low tune in. I'll go low tune in.
Mm, okay.
Yeah.
I'm kind of right there with you. I had a good enough time with this that I recommend seeing it in the theater, especially with a crowd. Because the one I was in, there was like a decently packed. There were people like cheering, hollering, especially wincing like you do at a movie like this when certain parts get grabbed, like you see in the trailer. And it was a fun time. The mystery isn't really relevant, but the chemistry between Josh Hartnett and the secondary lead, I think it's good enough to warrant seeing in a theater. All the stuff with the government agency that you see with Julian Kostoff and Katie Sackhoff, that is the weakest part of this movie, but there isn't a lot of focus on them.
Mm,
So thank goodness.
yeah. Like Katie Sackhoff. I like Katie Sackhoff as an actress.
Mhm.
Things like Battlestar Galactica. I liked her in
Mm.
Mandalorian.
Yeah,
Uh,
Battlestar, Mandalorian. I really think she's an underrated performer from that Mike Flanagan movie Oculus. If you've ever seen that.
I have seen that. She's good
Mhm.
as well. Um, but he or she's hard nosed boss. I mean, it's kind
Mhm.
of like she has one kind of mode throughout the whole movie. It's not really that interesting. She was also good in Riddick. I mean, oh, she was also in
Mhm.
Riddick. She was pretty cool in that movie too. So yeah, lowest tune in for me. Same for you, lowest tune in.
Yeah, lowish. Tune in.
Awesome. So two lowest tune ins for fight or flight. We didn't have a fight or flight reaction to this movie with this. So pretty awesome. Very nice.